our businesses, and our career. Today we're going to be having a book launch of my wife's book, Silent Attraction. Hallelujah. Like we announced to us last week, we're going to be doing that today. So this morning, get yourself prepared. It's just 2,000 naira. And then if you have, you want to use the POS, we have the business POS, not church POS. So don't use church, business POS. We have the business POS that you can use. So when the time comes, we're going to do that. Amen. So let's go into part 2 of the series we started last week. We started looking at the power of personal branding. The power of personal branding. And we did part 1 last week. And like I told us, it's all from the book, School of Money. So if you have the book, School of Money book, chapter 31, page 401, you see Branding 101. The School of Money book is a book that I believe every serious-minded individual that wants to really create wealth should have. And so if you have the book, I would advise that you read it at least once every 2 years, just to keep yourself updated, because the issue of wealth creation is a continuum in our lives. Then we began by defining a brand. We said a brand is the identity of a specific product, service, or business. Then went on to look at Wikipedia's definition. A brand can take many forms, including names, signs, colors, symbols, or combination of all. Then we moved on to look at the origin of the word or the phrase branding. And we saw how that it began far, even in the Bible days. I told you about Abraham and Lot. And so when cattle rearers want to differentiate between the cattle of one man to that of another, they brand them. So they put iron in the fire, and then the iron is put on, the iron is shaped or formed into particular symbols or letters, and that is now imprinted upon the cattle so as to be able to differentiate one person's cattle from the other. Then we moved on to establish the fact that a legally protected brand is called a trademark. So we looked at copyright, patent rights, and trademark. We looked at that. Then we looked at the vital facts that we need to understand about branding. So we looked at the brand experience. We looked at the brand image. We looked at brand management. We looked at brand orientation. And then we looked at brand integrity. Then we moved on to begin to zero into the personal aspect of branding. And we said, to brand yourself successfully, your focus should be on what? On quality and not packaging. Packaging is important, but your focus should be on quality, because if you have a very powerful package and your package attracts people to you, and then they discover that your content or what you have within is not what it's supposed to be, then it becomes a deficiency. So you should focus more on the content and not the container. Whether it's in relationship, whether it's in business, whether it's in ministry, you want to get into a relationship, you see a fine guy, is looking tall, dark, and handsome because you have an image in your mind, he's got 6-pack, and then you think he's going to be a very wonderful man, or he's charming. But you need to understand that the difference between charming and harming is letter C. So by the time you remove Christ, the man can begin to harm you, and he may have 6-pack without 6-figure. And then you can see a young lady that looks beautiful and petite and portable, or depending on how you like it, and then you are attracted to the container or to the pretty lady. But you now discover that this person is going to be a knife and not a wife, and becomes a blanket to the fire of God in your life, because by the time you now get close to them, you discover they are toxic. So if you are attracted by packaging, you may get into trouble. You may see a ministry that looks so powerful, the signboard, even the pastor's dressing, even the choir, everywhere is looking, but when you get in there, you are entering into a cult or an occult. So you can see packaging, but it's the content. There are organizations and institutions that look so beautiful. You go into a barbing salon or a hairdressing salon, everywhere is looking touche, everywhere is looking and smelling nice, but by the time you get there, the services are poor. You go into a restaurant, everything is looking powerful. You sit down, you order for your meal. By the time they bring it, it's burnt sacrifice and salted offering. Hello? So you realize that there's problem. So what do people think of you? This should be your priority, not packaging. Packaging is good. We're going to get the packaging. What do people think of you? How do people see you? What's the perception of people concerning you? And then what value do people place on you? These are very, very key, fundamental issues when it comes to personal branding. So we now began to look at some things that you need to understand when it comes to branding yourself. So number one, you must have a general understanding of branding and its power. And that's where we stopped last week. So, which is why I went through all I went through last week to give us just a general understanding. Because if you're going to go into personal branding, you still need to have that general understanding of branding and the power of branding. Because you need to understand that the same service that you render, and they will pay you 10,000 naira. Somebody else will render the same service, and they'll pay them 2 million naira. Same service. Now, the difference is in branding, and I gave you some examples last week. So let's move on to today. So number two, in order to effectively brand yourself personally, you need to decide what you want to achieve with your personal branding. So if you sit down one day and make up your mind, I want to become a brand. I want to brand myself. Then as you are sitting down to make that decision, you also need to settle why you want to be a brand. Why? You want a situation where when they mention your name, people will remember and know you. So why? Why do you want to be a brand? So let's look at few reasons why people want to be a brand so that you can decide whether that's your reason. Number one, do you just want to make a name for yourself? Because some people just want to make a name so that they will just know their name. So they can do anything terrible. They can go naked on Instagram just to become a name. Say, you don't know that lady that became, that went naked on Instagram. So they just want to make a name so that they will remember their name. So there are people now that you remember their name because of what they have done. Number two, do you want to build an image? Do you want to build an image so that when they hear your name, an image comes to mind? We have people in this country that have developed all kinds of image for themselves. We have a musician that covers himself up and people don't know who he is. Do you understand? Except probably his friends and family and people that work with him. So every time he appears, he is covered up. Now, that's an image that he has created for himself. We have an adult. So that one is Lagbaja. We have Charlie Boy that is 70-something years old now, but he's still called Charlie Boy. And it's an image. He dressed in a particular way. We have people like Derele. We have all kinds of that. We have Wole Soyinka that has his hair. And so, do you just want to have an image? Is it for recognition? Do you just want people to recognize you? That when I show up like this, they must recognize. So you want to be wearing white. Or you want to, everything you wear is blue. Or yellow. Or you want to wear different clothes. Mondays, red. Tuesdays, yellow, every day. So do you just want to be recognized? So that once you show that, that's that. I was listening to Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala. She was being interviewed on an international program yesterday, and she was talking about, because she's just written a book with, I think, the former president or prime minister of one of these countries. So they read, I think Australia also. So they wrote a book together, and they were talking about the book. And she was talking about the fact that a lot of people, because she's a woman and she's a minority, she's black, that a lot of people, the way they treat them is different from the way they treat a man. When they look at a man, they don't talk about the way the man dresses. They go straight to what the man does. But for her now, they will say she dresses this way, she dresses that way. That becomes an issue. He said, but she chose to dress the way she dresses so that she can be easily recognized. You won't be confused. She doesn't have, so once she comes, you know the way Ngozi will dress. So that's for eyes. So that when she comes, that's Ngozi. Everybody can easily recognize me. So I don't need to be, is she the one, is she not the one? So I said, okay, recognition. Okay, that's good. That will help my message tomorrow. So do you just want to be recognized? We have Mark Zuckerberg of Facebook. He just wears T-shirts, and Apple guy normally does that. And he said he has many of those T-shirts. So he does that because he doesn't need to think of what to wear, so that he can use his brain to think of something serious. So when he wakes up, he just pick one. It's the same color. It's the same. So you don't need to say, okay, what did I wear last week? Oh, many of you now, to come to church today, you are like, what am I wearing tomorrow? No, that's what I wore 3 weeks ago. As if you are the pastor, they will really see what you wore. Even pastor doesn't care what you wear. You say, you know that. And I'm like, okay, so you mean people come to church and they will look at your shoe and say, no, that's what he wore last week. You mean that? People as that, they don't have job. You are breaking news. So that's amazing. Next, do you want notoriety? Do you want to be a notorious person? So is it just that so that don't say, you don't know that guy? Because that's what Charlie Boy did. And it opened when he came back from the US and he wanted to break into, the music scene in his own days. He needed to do that. This is a guy that is the son of one of the most prominent lawyers. He was sent abroad to go and study law. He came back. The same thing was what happened with Fela. They sent them abroad, go and study, go and become, and then they came back and they started doing. So today now, there are a lot of people like that. Now, they create this image of notoriety. And people have all kinds of things that they think about them. I remember when we invited Charlie Boy, and he came here, and we're discussing another stuff. And he was telling me a lot of, I'm like, this is, he said, Pastor, you see, see, when I go market, I go look for the thing we get skeleton, we get score. Because if I just buy normal ring, go work. But when I wear score, they go say, he did occultism. He did this one, he did that one. I say, so all those things, now they make us popular. Now I say, So, but people will feel that, these guys, they are occult guys, this guy. It's amazing. Do you want mystery? That's what Lagbaja did. Mysteries, mysterious. Who is he? So what's your reason? So all these are things that you need to sit down and settle. Some people want to become a brand so that they can make money. We have a lot of social media influencers that are making money. So they just want to get followers so that they can now begin to sell and begin to make money. So that's very, very, very important for you to settle for yourself. Number 3, discover your uniqueness. Discover your uniqueness or discover yourself. If you don't know what is unique about you, you'll be lost in the crowd. Because now we are talking of personal branding. That means everybody here is supposed to become a personal brand. If we are all doing the same thing, how can you go far? Do you understand? But in order for you to excel, you have to discover something that is unique to you. I can name 10 comedians now, and even though they are all comedians, they are different. So if I mention Ali Baba, you know the way he does. If I mention Basketman, you know the way he flows. If I mention Gordons, you know the way. If I mention Akporo, you know the way he flows. So as I can mention 10, 20 comedians. They are all comedians. But there's something unique to them. I can mention 10 musicians. I can mention 10 actors and actresses. But there's something unique to them. That's what you need to do if you're going to become a personal brand. You need to find out what is unique to me, and then you push that uniqueness. Do you understand? So for me now, as a public speaker, I know that I am very, very practical. So I insist on making sure I break it down. By the time I'm through, even a child will understand what I'm saying. I break it down, and then I'm very blunt and sharp. What people cannot say, I say. So I have identified that, so I sit down there. I stay there. So when I get to a place and people are shying away from, so I say, you see, you don't want to mention it. I will now go to that area that nobody's going to. And I go practical. I go raw. That's my uniqueness. So I've identified uniqueness in different areas. And then you stay there and don't try to be like somebody else. I've gone to churches where I have a friend in Abuja in one of these churches. By the time I'm through, the guy is always like, I don't know. That what you say, even me that I'm the pastor, I can't say it though. That they will get angry. But when you say it, they'll be laughing and they love you. Anytime we say, we should invite Pastor Lumide. Say, but you just insult them. You finish them. You say, me? I can't mention you are a fool on my pulpit in this church. Never. They will just, before you know it, the news will go out. You say, but you did. I say, but that's my vocabulary. It's not I wrote a book on this thing. It's not an insult. It's a question. Are you a fool? I'm asking you a question. You answer me. It's not a... So discover yourself. And the amazing thing is that it takes a while for people to discover themselves. And one of the blessings you can have in my biographical audio program, The Secret of My Journey, the first thing I wrote there is the fact that I started early. You see, discovering yourself early is a blessing. And that's why when I see young people that are wasting away their life, thinking that there is still time, I'm amazed. I started this church at the age of 25. How many 25-year-old boys or girls have started anything in their life? Business, you have not started. Ministry, you have not started. All you can start is to start relationship. And you are wondering why your life is the way it is. Hello? So you find out that if you discover yourself early, at 30, I'm confused. 35, what is my purpose? How do I discover purpose? At 35? At 35, you are still confused? Number 4, package your uniqueness or package yourself. You see, that uniqueness that you have, package it. Package it. So when I discovered that I have special grace and special wisdom and special information in the area of relationship, in the area of finance, in the area of leadership, what did I do? I kept developing myself more in those specific areas. It doesn't mean that if you say we should do deliverance, I won't do. It doesn't mean if you say we should, but I now decided to focus on that. And I began to package myself as that common sense guru, relationship expert, world clinical. You begin to package yourself. So if somebody calls me and say they have deliverance conference, I will go. But I won't go and say, Olumide Emmanuel present deliverance. I won't do that. I won't present myself. I will only do that within the confines of my church as a pastor fulfilling my assignment. But to project myself as a deliverance minister, I won't do that. To say I'm doing Olumide Emmanuel miracle crusade, I won't do that. Not because I can't do miracle, I don't believe in miracle, but I will not go and be projecting myself as a crusade speaker, evangelist. No. When people invite me, it's on my form. I don't do crusade, I don't do night vigil. I write it there. So if you are inviting me for night vigil, forget it, I'm not coming. Not because I can't. Do you understand that? So it's all about package yourself and stay in the area of your strengths. The challenge with many of us is that we grew up being told to work on our weaknesses. And let me tell you something, till you die, you will forever have weaknesses. There are weaknesses that will never leave your life till you go to heaven. Just settle that. Hello? And when I say weaknesses, I didn't say sin, no. So that you won't say, oh, Pastor, I'll say we can sin forever. No. There are weaknesses that will never leave your life till you go to heaven. Instead of focusing, work on your weakness, you now abandon your strength. Work on your strengths. Focus on your strengths. Build your strength. Package your strength. When you become so strong, nobody will remember your weaknesses. Mandela. Have you forgotten that the man committed many adultery, has many women in his life, many children? But who is talking about how many wives, how many children, who is saying that? Because everybody is focusing on the strengths. Hello? So when you focus on your strengths, there will be weaknesses in your life, but it will not be an issue. Because your strength is blessing generations. Your strength is offering value. Do you understand that now? Now, I'm not saying abandon your weakness, but don't make it your focus. Because when you become so sin conscious, sin, then you abandon righteousness. Become righteous. Just focus on righteousness. Automatically, sin will just leave you alone. Number 5, market and build your package uniqueness. So you have packaged yourself, and then you have packaged your uniqueness, then begin to market it. Listening and listening well. Humility is not stupidity. Hello? Humility is not stupidity. So when they are telling you, oh, let the Lord announce you, what verse of scripture is that? Let the Lord announce you. I didn't see that in the Bible. Hello? The Bible says Jesus went from city to city, village to village, synagogue to synagogue, preaching, teaching, and healing. Then, the result of his action, his fame spread abroad. He went. Someone say he went. Then, his fame spread abroad. When Jesus shows up, he announces himself, I'm the way, I'm the truth, I'm the life. Nobody can go. If a pastor does that today, they will say it's arrogant. My name is Olumide Emmanuel. When I said to you, poverty dies, I can show you the way out of poverty. When you listen to me, you can never remain the same. Why? I'm announcing myself. Jesus Christ did the same. He said, I'm the way, I'm the truth, I'm the life. That is publicity. That is marketing. How can you be a hairdresser and your hair is looking like somebody that just came from madhouse? How can you be selling perfume and you are smelling like a corpse? How can you be a fashion designer and we can't see your design? Market yourself. So if you're an hairdresser, you should not come to church with the same hairstyle every Sunday. It's an error. Every Sunday, this Sunday go like this, next Sunday go like that. So that they say, this is Tasha. I say, that's what I do for a living. You shouldn't even use one perfume. It's deliberate and intentional. It's not carnality. It's marketing. Hello? You market yourself. Very important. So that is one thing you need to do. Because if you don't market yourself, you can just be in one corner dying. All the people that have won different reality shows, there are people better than them. But it is those who come out that people know. Say the most beautiful girl in Nigeria. No, it's the most beautiful girl among those that contested. Hello? The most beautiful girl among those that contested. Miss World, no, it's Miss among those that contested. Some of the most beautiful women are under hijab in the Islamic world. Nobody has seen their face. Hello? So all these things you need to understand. Market yourself. Musicians, comedians, footballers, actors, politicians, photographers, writers, public speakers, all these people that we know today, if they did not market themselves, you will not know them. I was speaking with a pastor that had come to see me. He traveled from Ibadan to see me during the week for counseling and coaching. And we're discussing of a lot of things. And I told him a few things he needs to do. Then I needed to help him to understand when we say mega. So I said, you see, the challenge with many of us is, I've been to your church because I was in his church in January and he was telling me all manner of testimonies of what has happened between the time I came and now. I said, look, the challenge is that you will look at me and you call me a mega pastor. But you don't see yourself as a mega pastor because your definition of mega is an error. So I told him, I said, mega means impact. Mega means impact. I said, dynamite is not big, but when it blows, it makes impact. I so see yourself as a mega pastor by becoming an impactful pastor. When you make impact upon the 6, 12, 30, 40, 200 members you have, you're a mega pastor. When you make impact within your community, I see because many of those pastors, we have gone around the world. Many of the pastors, many of you are calling great men of God. When you go to their church in America, it's not as big as this church. But they are on TV. They are everywhere. They go on missionary trip. They do all kinds of, because they went round. People now say, mega church, mega pastor. Kenneth Hagin never left America. Hello? He never left America. He didn't have an American passport to leave America. But everybody, Kenneth Hagin, go to the Kenneth Hagin, go and see the chapel there. The guy didn't even have his church. They built a chapel. Go and see the chapel. Miles Moro. Go to Bahamas and see his church. And see whether it's big or not. You would say, hey, you mean this is the Miles Moro? We thought it would be like 10,000. No, it's impact. Mike Murdoch, go to his wisdom house in Texas. You will see the same. Mike Murdoch. Why? It's not about the size of the church. Hello? It's about the impact they have made on their generation. And once you understand that, you begin to move ahead in life. So let's wrap up with 7 elements of personal branding. If we don't complete it, then you go and get the book. 7 elements of personal branding. What does that mean when I say 7 elements? Now we have seen how to build a personal brand. But what are the things you should be focusing on? That are, when you say this person is a personal brand, what are the elements that says that this person has become a brand? And what are the things you should be focusing on in order to become an exceptional brand? Number 1 is your value and your character. Number 1, your values and your character. Like I told you earlier on, your focus should be on what? Quality and not packaging. Your value and your character. Because these are the things that will last. In Yoruba, they will say, Obiri o niwa, Olohun olori oko. Hello? The Bible says, beauty is empty, charm is deceitful. But a woman who fears the Lord shall be praised. You have a nasty attitude and character. You say there is an evil altar in your father's house that is stopping you from marrying. No, it's your attitude and character that is the altar. Hello? So, number 1 is your values and character. Focus on that. Listen and listen well. It's not, your dressing, your packaging, your grooming. Yeah, they are important. But what is the purpose of a well-packaged poison? What's the purpose? Package poison. The package poo-poo give you. Put spray. What's the purpose of that? So it's really about the fact that when people now experience you, they see value. Number 2, your talents and skills. Your talent and skill. Have you ever experienced artisans or experienced a plumber, an electrician, a mechanic, that by the time they are through with you, they will spoil the thing. They will leave your appliance worse. And you are asking yourself, who taught this one job? This one didn't graduate. Didn't do freedom. Hello? So your talent and your skill. You have to discover your skill, discover your talent, and develop it consistently to become a skilled person. To become more skillful, to become more talented, to become more valuable. Number 3, your personal mission. Your personal mission. What do you set out to achieve? What do you set out to achieve? One of the few years back, we're in a discussion, and one of the top guys, a former presidential aspirant, that is one of my guys, he said something that I had never heard before until he said it. We're just discussing. He said, no, we can't compare ourselves to him now. He's a philanthropic brand. I say, me, philanthropic brand. So me, I don't want to. He said, he's a philanthropic brand. He said, you do free seminar, you do free this. He said, we can't try that. We'll go bankrupt. So we can't try it. Free seminar. They say every month you are doing free seminar, you are teaching. They say all the things you are giving, even your CDs, the information is too much. He said anybody that buys one of those CDs can even from there write 5 books. So you just release everything. You just want everything. He said those one of each of your CD, I've turned it to curriculum. I'm using it to make millions from all the banks and corporate organizations. See, because we cannot survive not making money. We have to. He said, but you now, you just give everything free. Say, you're a philanthropic brand now. Your own is about philanthropy. I say, yeah. When I left that place, I got to office, I come and say, but it's like, you mean, but it's the truth. So I sat down and I had to think. I said, okay. It's because I'm a pastor. My heart is about, let's help people, let's impact people. But this guy said, I can't try it though. He said, we cannot try what you are trying. No. Say, wow. My books. It was until I released Pathway to Wealth, which is How to Be a Millionaire, and then School of Money, that I started really pricing my book. When I release the book, I'm like, just go cheap, let's just bless people. Do you understand? But at a point, I'm like, if you want to buy. If you don't want to buy, School of Money, I know they beg people buy. But if it was before that School of Money, I will sell it 2,000 or 2,500. Do you understand? But at a point, you have to realize that, look, this thing is not like that. The money where you pay for Harvard, no be chicken change. So, your personal mission. Number 4, your unique knowledge. What is the unique knowledge that you have? So, if you have a unique knowledge, sit down there. So, by the grace of God, when people sit down now and they are thinking of who to invite to come and talk about money matters, my name will come up in that equation. When they sit down and discuss, we want to do a singles conference, a marriage conference, who do we invite? My name will come up in that discussion. When they sit down, they are discussing, we want to do a leadership conference, we want to gather pastors to train them. My name will come up in that discussion. Why? Those 3 areas, relationship, finance, and leadership, I sat down there because I discovered I have a unique area of gifting and grace, and I continue to develop myself. So when we wanted to start the TV station, I said, we're going to build this TV station on these three pillars: relationship, finance, and leadership. Let's just stay there. Let's not try to be an entertainment station. Let's not try to be a news station. Let's not try to, no. Let's stay there. So our content will be 20% relationship, 20% finance, 20% leadership. The remaining 40%, we give it to other people to come on board, religious program, all kinds of stuff. So we sit down there. So by the time you sit down and you are watching Common Sense TV, you will realize that relationship issues are there, financial issues are there. We are not. So when we are not going to be like other people. So when we start our own morning program, which will be from 7 to 9, we're not going to be doing newspaper review like other people. We're not going to be doing all those kind of stuff. Our morning program is called Spheres. All we are going to be looking at is the 7 mountains. And we're looking at what relates to that every day, Monday to Friday. Instead of following you have to sit down, find out your area. Number 5, your communication skills. This is very, very important, your communication skill. Listen and listen well. Every vision you have, every idea you have needs to be communicated. If you don't have the ability to effectively communicate your vision or your heart or your ideas, it will not be able to go as far as it should go. So your communication skill, whether it's verbal communication, whether it is written communication, whether it's gesticular communication, your gesture, just make sure that you continue to develop yourself in that area. So that when you come before people to make a presentation, you are in a boardroom, you want to pitch an idea or pitch a project to people in the boardroom, you've got to be able to present yourself effectively. Your PowerPoint has to be tight. Your PowerPoint should be something that can easily communicate what you want to communicate. Your words, your everything, your gesticulation, everything. Very, very important. Then number 6, your dress sense and etiquette. Dress sense and etiquette. I joined. So let's look at the dress aspect. We have said it over and over again. Dress the way you want to be addressed. Dress the way you want to be addressed, because people will see you before they hear you. And that's why in those days of heavy 419 in those days, they are the one that were using 090, not 90. They deck up, they'll go borrow car, they'll go to Kaya and borrow car. By the time they land with Jeep 4x4, you say, this man get Jeep, look at him, dressing, everything, and they dupe you. Today's 419, they dress online. They are the son of a prince. They are the general manager of NMPC. They package themselves. So your dress sense. Because you don't have a second chance to give a first impression. Once people see you, they just say, this. You don't have a second chance to give a first impression. So you need to understand that your dressing is very, very important. So you need to make sure that you dress well, you look well, you smell well. It's all part of it. You can't enter a place, because many people don't realize that by the time you enter into an air-conditioned hall where people have been seated, when you enter, the air condition will reveal some things. Hello, so they just begin to smell, because the socks that they are wearing, the socks, is otigolabe. The socks has entered water, they have sweated into it, they have not washed the singlet, the armpit is not shaven, there is no roll-on, no deodorant. They just come out like that. And then nothing. Even when you look at the temple, there's incense. The holiest of all, the holy place, they have incense. So you have to have incense. Just spray some things on your body, hello, so that you smell well. Not that you just enter with a kaboom. Everybody just will be booming. People just say, how are you? You're welcome. You're welcome. Then etiquette. Etiquette has to do with a lot of aspects. The way you relate to people, when it comes to eating, when it comes to... So two people are talking. And then you want to get the attention of somebody. You don't just bunch in and say, hey, how are you? You have to say, excuse me, please, can I talk to him? So those are all part of things you need to learn. Do you understand? When you are eating, you are sitting on the table, you are eating, you don't make noise with your... No. You are drinking water, like a bushman from my village. So all those, then when you finish eating, you have to remove the spoon and put, so that they will know that you have finished eating. You remember the story of one of our ministers that went abroad and they kept serving him tea. He just kept drinking because he didn't know that he has to do something to show that I'm no more interested. There are places we go to. There are places you go to eat in other countries. Like in Atlanta, we have a place they call Fuga de Chao. Now, when you go there, they will give you a card. The card is yellow or different color on one side, but the other side is red. Red means I'm okay. Because as long as the card is like this, they will be serving you. They have like 46 different kind of meats. Yeah, 46. So they start meat 1, they bring it, meat 2, 46. There's nothing, the weather is meat, all manner. Nobody has ever succeeded in eating it for something. Nobody. So they start with number 1, number 2. So you have to, if you don't do that, they will just keep bringing. You have to put that red card. Yeah, I'm okay. Don't bring anything again. So all this, even from, because really, there are things that has nothing to do with Bible. It just has to do with home training, upbringing. But you see, not everybody came from a home. Many of us came from compound. We came from yard. We came from house. We didn't come from a home. Some of us never saw our father and our mother. We never had father, mother in one house together. Never. We grew up 7 people in one room. We share pants, we share brazier, we share everything. There is no difference. Anybody just wake up, carry, enter. That's the way. We just call Elewa going. We eat. There is no pot, there is no stove. Nobody to tell you, no, a woman does not sit down like that. You can sit down, open everything because nobody told you. You grew up a tomboy. You are forever wearing trousers, wearing knicker, ready to fight. And then when you now become a lady and you are wearing gown, you don't know that you are supposed to, you just open like that. You want to enter car, you just open, enter car. Nobody told you. It doesn't mean you are not born again. It doesn't mean you are not a child of God. It has nothing to, but it's about culture, it's about etiquette. Nobody told you. You were not mentored. So in church now, we have to be telling you to shave your armpits. Nobody told you. You see people with their armpit and they will open their and they don't feel anything because they don't feel anything. They don't. So, good morning. Repeat after me. Good morning. Good afternoon. Good evening. Hello. Please. Thank you. Excuse me. Pardon me. Now, these are things you need to learn to know where to use it. Oh, excuse me. Not yes. 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 No, I'm telling you. Now that thing enters church. Oh. I'm telling you. Even as a pastor, when I sit down and anybody claims, I say, let's jam our hands for Jesus, I feel somehow. I'm like, okay, it's jam. What are you jamming your hands? It's like in an accident. Jam our hands for Jesus. But I'm feeling that, okay, maybe it's like, our own pidgin English kind of, but let's jam our hands, jam your hands for Jesus. Jam your hands. So I can go on and on and on. How to use the cutlery. All these things are very, very important. Because it's not everywhere you can say, give me water, make I wash hand. It's not everywhere you can do that. Hello? So if you don't know how to use the cutlery, you will just be there, struggling. Yeah? And a young man let me close with that. A young man had a relationship with a lady and took her to their corporate dinner, corporate event. And when they brought the first course, in fact, they were still at the level of appetizer, bread, chicken soup, and butter, and the lady just took the bread. The guy was like, the bread is soft, the butter is soft, try that chicken soup. No chicken there inside, but the thing tastes like chicken. She was just going. The guy was embarrassed. She has taken, say, the chop, took the guy's own. She has already eaten like 5 rolls of bread rolls. She has drank, drank water. Then by the time they brought the meal, say, we see the shop. We see the shop. They are not belleful. Finally, number 7, go build